Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Going the Distance. I'm Nicholas Delgado, and I'm your host for everything to do with high school running in Central Illinois and beyond. Today, I have a couple more main points to talk about than last week, including lots of new invites, local and out of the area, and also some new top times throughout the state, locally, and 2 new awesome runners of the week, as well as an interview with Metamora High School junior, Ryan Krake. Finally, we will cover next week's first to the finish invite in some depth throughout the 1A, 2A, and 3A races, and what teams you should expect to see perform well. First, I want to talk about the 2 local meets in the area. The first one was the Galesburg Silver Streak invite. At Lake Story Park, Morton came away with the win with a total of 33 points, placing their top 5 runners in the top 11. They beat Dunlap with a score with about a 50-point lead, and they finished their top 5 before Dunlap finished their number 1. Dale Johnson, the junior of Sterling, won the race in 15:36.2 over Josh Weeks from Morton with a 15:51. Next up was the Canton Invitational. Mackinac Deer Creek wins the invite with 44 points, just over Pekin with 46 points, and the junior Josh Holloway of Pekin won in 17:23.5. Now we're going to move out of Central Illinois, and we're going to go to probably the biggest invite this week, the Hornet Red Devil Invitational. Dan Watke, a senior of Hinsdale Central who was a part of the National 4x8, run the race in 14:56.3, and he led his team to the win with 64 points over some very tough 2A and 3A competition. Next up was the Granite City invite, where there were tons of fast times. Rockbridge, a high school team out of Missouri, wins with 42 points. Ian Kemme, who is a senior of Rockbridge, wins the race in a 14:34.2, which is blazing fast, just over Dylan Nally, the junior of Marion, in 14:38.6, which is a new Illinois top time. Next up is the Fenton John Kurtz Early Bird Invitational. Oak Park River Forest, the 3A school, wins with 38 points. Grays Lake Central, the number 1 ranked 2A team, takes 3rd place in this meet with 111 points. It was great to see them get out there and race their whole varsity for the first time this year. Liam Newhart, the senior from Oak Park River Forest, won the race in 15:32, just over Mario Torres of Buffalo Grove in 15:33.6. The Crystal Lake South Invitational was an interesting invite as well, where we got to see Belvedere North, not a top 10 ranked team, but a very strong team that we'll be keeping an eye on. They and Woodstock, the number 9 ranked team, but Palatine Fremd came away with the win with 44 points over Belvedere North with 50. Woodstock takes 3rd with 66 points, and Orlando Hernandez, the senior of Belvedere North, wins the race in 16:46, just over Rory Gann, the sophomore of Palatine Fremd, in 16:50. This course was a 3.05 mile course, so slightly longer than 3, so times will be slightly slower. Next up is the Charleston invite, where Champaign Central wins with 55 points. Julian Baker, the junior from Mount Zion, wins at 15:51.16, and the freshman from Champaign Central was pretty close behind him, and Champaign Central is looking to have a pretty solid team this year, with their new frontrunner freshman already running in the low 16s. Next up is the Fall Harvest Classic. Decatur St. Teresa, the super strong 1A team going into this next week with first to the finish, they win this Fall Harvest Classic with only 44 points, and they beat 6th ranked 2A team Glenbard South with 47 points. So barely winning, but they still got that win. The senior Daniel Winkleman of Harvest Christian Academy won the race in 16:26.6 over Patrick Hilby, the junior of Aurora Central Catholic, in 16:30.8. This was a 5K course, so that's why the times are a little slower. Lyons Township invite was another big invite this weekend. Maine South wins with 61 points over Lyons with 67, so a pretty close race. Riverside Brookfield, the number 2 ranked team in 2A, was 4th with 100 points. And this was also a 5K course. And the junior of Lyons, Nicholas Strayer, wins the race in 15:32.44, just over Cooper Mars, the junior from Riverside Brookfield, in 15:34.94. That is a really fast 5K time that would equivalent to probably like 15 flat, maybe even sub. And now off the Saturday meets, there was a Tuesday meet in the Sycamore invite and 2 Wednesday meets from Lake County and Murfreesboro. Sycamore Glenbard South, the 6th-ranked team in 2A, wins with 68 points over Belvedere North at 83. Riley Newport, the senior of DeKalb, wins in 1532.7, just over Dale Johnson, the junior of Sterling, in 1540 flat. The Lake County Invite on Wednesday was won by Barrington with 32 points over number 1 ranked Grayslake Central in 2A with 48 points, which makes sense because Barrington is a 3A school. However, Trey Sato, the junior of Grayslake Central, won the race in 1622.45K. Finally, the Murfreesboro Invitational on Wednesday, was won by Benton with 54 total points. Benton was led by Gavin Geneseo with his season opener of 1547, I think. And Isaac Teal, the junior of Pinnickyville, wins in 1517.64, coming away with another win this year. Some top individual performances. For the weekly top times for the entire state, we have from 1A, Ethan Hogan, the junior from Columbia, dropping a 15:15.5 at the Granite City Invite on Saturday. In 2A at the Granite City Invite, we have Dylan Nally, the junior from Marion, who dropped 14:38.6. A crazy time by a junior or anybody, especially this early in the season. And at the Hornet Red Devil Invite for 3A on Saturday, Dan Waukee dropped the 3A top time of the week. The senior dropped a time of 14:56.3, and he's from Hinsdale Central. The only whole season time that got taken down was the 2A time. Dylan Nally took over the time from last week. He beat his previous top time, and dropped it down to the 14:38.6. It's crazy to see a junior run this fast already this season. And finally, for this segment, I want to conclude with Runner of the Week. Locally, I chose Brendan Hetzig, who's a senior from Lincoln. Shout out to him. He finally broke 15 minutes in the 3 mile, which is super impressive. He won the Rochester Invite in 14:59.4, so he's got to be super proud of himself. It's a 36-second win, his first sub-15 performance, and he led his team to win by just 2 points over Taylorville. For the whole state, I had to choose Dylan Nally of Marion, not just because he had the fastest time in the state, but he didn't even win the race. He got second place at the Granite City Invite because he lost to competition from Rockbridge, Missouri. He got second place in 14:38.6, losing to somebody who ran a 14:34, which is just crazy impressive. I chose him because not only did he drop a crazy fast time, but he had super tough competition, and he even beat the 25th place finisher from the Garmin Nationals last year. He led his team to 3rd place, which is really solid as it was such a big invite. The only 2 teams that beat Marion at Granite City was St. Louis University, who got 2nd, and Rockbridge, Missouri, who got 1st. Now, it's time to move on to the segment with Ryan Krake, where we discuss some of Metamora's team's outlooks after their performance at the Silver Streak Invite, and Ryan would like to talk about his outlooks on some of the local conferences, such as the Mid-Illini, the HOI, and the Big 12, with a bunch of stats that he's been compiling throughout the past couple of weeks. I'm back here with Ryan Krake. He's a junior at Metamora High School, and he runs cross country and track and field. He has a PR of 18:15 in the 3 mile, and he would like me to tell you that he was good in middle school when he ran an 11:24 in the 2 mile, and he's working back up to be at the same fitness level he was back then. So how you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you. So Ryan I met him last year at our conference meet, and we've been friends for a little bit now, and I'm excited to have somebody else on here from another team, and this is something I hope to keep doing, branching out to other people in the conference and getting their view of how their season's going to be going. So the first thing I know I wanted to talk about with you is you like to keep track of stats. So you have the rankings from a couple conferences in the area. So first, let's talk about Mid-Illini. What are some of the outlooks you have on our conference this year?
So Mid-Illini right now, it's looking really strong, especially with Morton and Dunlap. Based on the scores that I've been able to put up from the first couple weeks, Morton is leading over Dunlap by 33 points. Really strong front pack. They've got the top 2 in the conference right now, Josh Weeks and Chase Sauter. And they put their entire top 5 ahead of Dunlap's number 1, which is really crucial for them. And then also pretty close together in the 3rd through 5th spots are East Peoria, Washington, and Metamora. Both Metamora and Washington in a little bit of a struggle right now. Washington losing at least one of the Rinkenbergers. I know Milo Rinkenberger broke his foot over the summer and he's out for the whole season. And as far as I know, I do not think Fisher Rinkenberger is running either, which really hurts Washington. Um, but they've got a couple new additions with Bryce Banning and Owen Spezio really helping them out. But Metamora's been having a lot of injury issues at the start of the season. Top two seniors, Carson Cowling and Nate Thyler, out with injuries from the Silver Streak invite, which really hurt the Redbirds' score there. But I think once they get those couple guys back, that'll really help boost them up in the rankings. And East Prairie also had a really good start to the season, better than I've seen in the past. They had a really good 1-2 punch at the Silver Streak invite with Aiden Thompson and Matthew Gray both going under 1650. Sorry, and a solid 3-4. Their number 5 is a little lacking, which holds them back a little bit. But I think all three of those teams have the potential to make good runs at state in the Metamora sectional this year.
Okay, so that's interesting because I remember this summer I did a couple races like Steamboat and the Lincoln Douglas run, and I know that Drew was one of the guys I raced against, and also Carson. Carson was way ahead of me, and I'm expecting when he comes back, he's looking to go sub 16. Is that right?
Right. That's what he's hoping for this year. He's talked loosely about a goal of medaling at state. I'm not sure, based on the way he's starting the season, it not looking to me like he's going to be there just yet, but he's definitely got potential to be there. Along with Trey Hellwig, they're really going to be the Redbirds' top two. And then Nate Thyler should be a solid number 3 as long as he's not hurting too much. It was confirmed that he had an IT strain in one of his legs, but it's something that can't really be injured any further, so he plans on just running through the pain. And then Drew Mischler also starting off the season pretty well, senior this year. He medaled at the Silver Streak invite, went under 18. He's put on a lot of muscle since last cross-country season, really focusing on being an 800 guy during track season. So we'll have to see how that affects him during the cross-country season.
Yeah, so I think you guys are going to have a decent varsity if you guys can get everybody back because if you look at the Silver Streak invite, you guys didn't necessarily have the best team score, but Trey did not even run varsity. He ran in that fresh off race, which he placed second in. And he's going to be strong. Carson will come back. He'll be strong. I think you guys are going to have a decent varsity. And then you're saying third place is up between Washington, East Peoria, and who was the other one? Or you guys were the other one. Dunlap would be the second place.
Right, yeah. Dunlap,
Dunlap's
I'm
really good.
Second from Dunlap.
Yeah, Dunlap has that really good, like, what's it called? The pack. They have their spread. Like, I think at Silver Streak Invite, it was 20-something seconds between their entire top 5, which was just crazy. I remember I was running, and I was just kind of caught behind their pack at the beginning, and I was getting a little nervous at first, and it was hard to, like, push through them, but once we did, we got our 5 above their number 1, which would be very crucial in a race like conference. So it'll be interesting to see how the middle line unfolds because we usually have a decently strong conference, and it'll be interesting to see how we unfold going into the regional and sectional, which is at Metamora again this year, and our regional's at Donovan, right?
Yes, I assume Morton is going to be at the Peoria Notre Dame regional. I assume Metamora and Washington will be at the Morris regional, which not really sure why we always go up there every year. Last year it was at LaSalle, Peru, but that regional going into Metamora is usually not the strongest. Usually Metamora, Washington, and Normal West are the strongest teams coming out of that. It's not been confirmed yet whether or not Normal West will be staying at the 2A level or bump up to 3A. If they bump up to 3A, that could be something that would help potentially another Mid-Illini team make a run at state out of that Metamora sectional.
Yeah, I think with the Middle Illini being as strong as it is this year, I think it would be nice to see a few teams go from there because I like a lot of the people in this conference. It'd be fun to get to run with them, not only at a little meet like conference at Detweiller, but then a few weeks later run with them at state. So before we move on from your team, I wanted to talk about Aiden Baker. He's one of the runners on your team. You said he was special ed, But you guys always run with him at the end of the meets, and I think it's really cool that cross country is a sport where everybody can participate no matter kind of what situation they're in. So do you want to talk about him a little bit?
Yeah, so I've only been running with Aiden since freshman year because he went to Germantown Hills and I went to Metamora grade. But I've got a pretty vivid memory from when I was in eighth grade at the mini Mid-Illini Middle School invite at Pekin. He was on really good terms with Pekin's team and their coach, and they always ran with him as well in middle school, and they gave him a special award at that meet that year, and that was just really cool to see how accepting everyone is just in this sport of that. And we've had a couple different guide runners for him over the past few years. He hasn't been up to running full 3 mile races yet, but we've managed to set him somewhere between 2 and 2.5 usually. And his parents are hoping to get him up to that 3 level, hopefully by the end of this season. But it's always just really great to see him out there working with us, just always trying to do his best. And he's just a really great presence to have on the team.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's really cool how just this sport is so accepting, and it's great to look out there at the end of a meet and just see everybody cheering on the last person or one of the last group of people just coming in, and it's a great rep for the sport that you might not see anywhere else. So I think it's really cool that you guys do that. And finally, the last few things I wanted to talk about. We talked about Middle Line already, but you said you had some information on the HOI conference outlook and Big 12 and a couple other teams that aren't in these three conferences locally.
Yeah, I think I'll dip into the HOI first. Really, it's two dominating teams in this. It's Eureka and El Paso Gridley, both pretty highly ranked in the 1A field. With current rankings, Eureka comes out on top with 30 points to El Paso Gridley's 33. The conference is led by about 34 seconds. El Paso Gridley's Sam Bushert over Eureka's Charlie Bardwell. But for the top six in the conference, it does go El Paso Gridley, Eureka, El Paso Gridley, Eureka, El Paso Gridley, Eureka. So very evenly spread throughout there. Then with a couple top runners coming in from Hayworth and Deer Creek Mackinac, but I think in that conference it's really going to be down to Eureka and El Paso Gridley for the HOI title that year. Some pretty top tier 1A teams in that field.
Yeah, I've seen El Paso has been doing very well this year. They had a good showing this past weekend at the Normal Community Open. And
yeah, they had a sophomore. I think he's a sophomore, Isaac Porzelius. He PR'd by I think close to a minute, running 16:56
wow,
at
that's
the
just
Normal Community Open. Yeah,
that's crazy. I don't think we've never raced there personally, but I think it's cool to see a small town like El Paso be able to shine in the light a little bit, and going up against Eureka for a title. It sounds like it's supposed to be a really close race, so that'll be fun to look out for as we approach this conference races later in the season. One of our coaches, our old head coach, Coach Zaire, he is actually from Eureka, so his sons will run there in the future. So it's great that his town and another small town like El Paso gets to be in the light for the conference title like that for them. And then finally, let's talk about the Big 12 and any other teams that you from the area that you've been looking at.
yeah. So Big 12 is pretty heavily dominated by Champaign Central this year. They're looking to be one of the top 2A teams in the field. They're in the lead in the conference with 31 points over Peoria Notre Dame's 71. And a freshman from Champaign Central, Caleb Matthias, leads with a 16:06, which is just mind-blowing this early in the season. And he leads by only 4 seconds over Champaign Centennial's Aaron Hendren. So same city, but different teams. So it'll be interesting to see if one of them is able to take a conference title this year. Peoria Notre Dame is also looking pretty solid this season. They're starting off the season a little slower than I was expecting, but they've got a pretty solid pack led by Andrew Elward. He was second at the Metamora Early Redbird invite behind Elmwood's Isaiah Hill. He went 16:12 at that, and I think he ran 16:33. I want to say it was either at the Normal West invite or the Normal Community invite, which is pretty good times this early in the season. And they've got a solid pack with numbers 11, 15, 16, and 23 in the conference. So not too bad of a start of the season. They'll probably expect to be one of the top teams in that Metamora sectional again.
Yeah, Notre Dame, I remember last year when I was filtering out the seniors and just looking at what we might be able to expect coming this year in 2022. I saw they were supposed to be up there, kind of even not that far back from us because they have Andrew Elward, who's coming back from an injury. He already ran a 16:05 is what it was at Detweiller Park. So I know I've talked to him. He's looking to dip under 16. Then they have Joey Cave and Joe Earhart that are looking to be a strong number 2 and 3 and push Notre Dame up higher into their sectional and have a good appearance at state. I'm assuming is their goal this year. And then Champagne's Central. Yeah, I saw when I was looking at the rankings, they were a very strong team this year. I was not expecting them, if I'm going to be honest. I did not see them coming, but that freshman coming in with a low 16 time already this year, that's going to be a very big help for their team going into sectional races, and he's going to be a very big help chopping off lots of those points and hopefully pushing them into that state meet. And it'll be interesting to see what they can do as he develops because it's only the first few meets. He's freshman, new to running 3 miles. Get him in some spikes, get him at Detweiler, get a good day. It'll be amazing to see the times he can drop there. So finally, were there any other teams you wanted to talk about? Not necessarily in one of those conferences.
Yeah, so a couple other teams that are looking pretty solid this year. Elmwood has won. They were fairly lowly ranked by Mile Split, Illinois for 1A. But they've got their top 5 under 18 right now, which is a pretty good start to the season. And they're led by Isaiah Hill, who's at a 15:54 right now. I would expect him to be probably all-state in 1A this year. And then also, historically, really good team, Normal U High. They've got their top 9 under 18, and they're led by Brant Henderson, a senior with a 15:44. But they're missing Satchet Medulia right now. He's out with he's had a rough past couple seasons. Not 100% sure on the issues he had. I know iron deficiency was one of them. I want to say last cross country season and this track season, but he's one that could definitely boost that team up and potentially go all state. Stanford Olympia looking pretty solid this year as well. One individual that's looking really well this year is Delavan's Sam Springer at a 15:49 right now. He could also be one to look at to go all state. Couple athletes that performed well last year but haven't been doing as well at the start of this season or just haven't been running for whatever reason. IVC's Brecken Fahrenkrug, he has not competed in any meets this year yet, but if I'm not mistaken, he was under 16 last year, so I would expect him to do well this year. Delavan's Maddox Dare, a sophomore, he's Delavan's number 2 behind Sam Springer. He performed well last year. I think he was just off of qualifying for the 1A state meet individually. Again, no results from him yet this year. He may be out on injury, not sure. And Stanford Olympia's Logan Demling, he's been a very good performer past few years. Medaled at state in 8th grade and was one of Olympia's top guys past couple years. Very good team past couple years. But he's starting off the season a little rough, barely under 13 for the 2 mile at dual meet with Bloomington Central Catholic. And he did do a little better in a 3 mile race. He went about 17:50, but still not nearly up to his level he's been running the past couple of years. And then last one, Bloomington Central Catholics, Alexander Evans, a junior, had a good past couple of years with Central Catholic, but hasn't had any results again this year, which I'm not really sure where a couple of these guys are. But I think once or if they come back, I think they've got the chance to really shake up the field.
Yeah, those are interesting runners. I remember hearing about Sam Springer the past couple years, so it's good to see him. He's already run under 16 this year, I believe. So he's looking to be have a very strong senior year this year. And one more thing before we go, I wanted to go back to Dunlap. I know we already talked about them, but they lost their previous number one runner, Henry Welsh. He just decided not to run. Do you know anything about that?
No, I was talking to Charlie Serran about it, but he didn't give me any details as to why Henry Welsh isn't running this year. And the last appearance we actually saw from him was the state meet last year. He didn't run track and field this year either. But with Reese Uzek transferring to Dunlap from Limestone, that's really that really helps them out. Basically acting as a replacement for Welsh. But they've again got a pretty solid pack with Aiden Moore, Jacob Gladstone, Braden Cox, and then Charlie Serran coming back off injury last year, already running about 50 seconds better than he did last year's, really helping the Eagles team score.
Yeah, Dunlap's looking like they're going to be a pretty strong team this year. It'll be fun to see what they can do come conference season, regional, sectional, state. See how they can push up with their new addition of Reese. And yeah, Limestone now, after they lost Reese and Wilson, they're kind of not there anymore. I feel like they have the Bell brothers, but other than that, I haven't heard too much from them. So, well, it'll be an interesting run this year in the middle line, I think, with Morton, Dunlap, Metamora, Washington, East Peoria all going for those top 5 slots. Should be fun to see how it unfolds come October, mid-October. And all right, that is it for today with you, Ryan. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was great having Ryan on from Metamora, so I want to thank him one more time for getting on the call with me and discussing some of his stats that he's been compiling. It was fun, and now let's move on to the weekly outlook. There's one big upcoming meet I want to talk about, and that's the First to the Finish Invitational in Detweiller Park in Peoria, Illinois. This is at the state course, so this is the first big invite of the year where everybody comes out to the state course. Later in the years, there's the Peoria High invite, but this one has 199 teams signed up already. So it's the only invite I'm going to be covering for the upcoming week because honestly, there aren't that many other ones going on. I'm going to go over the 1A, 2A, and 3A teams that are favorited to win the trophies and discuss what I think might happen. For 1A, Decatur St. Teresa, Normal U High, and Chicago Latin are all going to be vying for that trophy. Those are the top 3. St. Teresa is obviously the favorite with their pack, but U High, led by Brent Henderson, the senior already going sub-16, they're going to be looking for a trophy as well. Chicago Latin with Ben Gibson and Akili Perek are also going to be vying for that trophy, so it should be an interesting race and hopefully fun to watch to see who will come away with that first place trophy in 1A. In 2A, Miles splits 1, 2, and 3 will probably be the 1, 2, and 3 that go in this invite. We have Gray's Lake Central at 1, Riverside Brookfield at 2, and Morton at 3. They're all going to be competing really hard for this. Everybody's getting out to that state course for the first time. It'll be a fun race to watch and experience for me because I'll be running in it. It'll be cool to see what kind of time drops we see from everybody in the area. Deerfield's also going to be trying to get up into that trophy range. They got second place last year, and they have a strong pack again this year looking to place just as well as they did last year. 4th-ranked mile split team, Maple Park Kaylin, will be looking for a trophy as well, alongside Belvedere North, who wants to come back and put on a good performance just like last year, with a few returning runners such as Orlando Hernandez and Evan Horgan. Finally, in the 3A race, there will be 3 teams competing for the trophy. Downers Grove North, Plainfield South, and Hinsdale Central. Hinsdale Central, obviously led by Dan Watkey, who had a great race last weekend. Plainfield South, Cam definitely have a shot at getting this trophy as well. And honestly, there's Downers Grove North's pack might be enough to just carry him through. So 3A race is going to be super entertaining to watch. I can't wait to be on the sidelines cheering on all those runners. So to recap today, we talked about lots of the local conferences and the outlook for their season with pre-conference races coming up soon. Ryan, once again, I just wanted to say thank you to him for coming on. And it was super fun. Next week, we're going to hopefully get a runner from a different school, and we're going to keep continuing the special guest trend and to get an outlook on a lot of teams in the area. So we're going to go around the conference, and hopefully come conference time, we're going to have a sit-down discussion with everybody in the conference. We talked about the previous week's meets, some of the top times, and gave the runners of the week. Once again, congratulations to Dylan Nally for the statewide runner of the week, and Brendan Hetzig from Lincoln for the local runner of the week. And finally, we talked about the first to the finish invite. I can't wait to see everything that goes down and the crazy time drops that are probably going to happen this weekend. But until next time, I'm Nicholas Delgado. Thank you for watching episode 2 of Going the Distance, and I'll see you next Wednesday.